everybody, it's Drybear. And with a server slam extended by almost a full day for the availability, and with Arc Raiders available in just under 2 weeks on October 30th, today I want to talk about some tips and tricks on how you can get better loot, make yourself perform better in the game, and just understand what are the best loops and cycles you could use to make your account or gameplay stronger. And if you're just starting out, I have a beginner's guide going through all the gameplay mechanics on my channel as well, so I'll link that down below in the comments and description. Now, I know this one doesn't apply very heavily to the server slam because all progress is going to be wide. People aren't really investing in it, but there are a couple things inside of the skill tree that you'll want to pay attention to for the launch. I'm not going to go through the whole skill tree because I think that some of this might change for the launch depending on what they want to mix up, but there are some things that are very crucial to your experience that you're going to want to know about. The first one is going to be in-round crafting. This actually used to be part of the game by default. They decided to move it over to the talent tree, but regardless, wherever it sits, you're going to want it. This is in-round crafting. This allows you to actually field craft items, ammunition, some of the recovery items, consumables, things like that, and that is huge. You really don't want to get into a situation, especially if you're running a free loadout that starts with a low amount of ammo, where you can't create anything that you desperately need in that build. So generally what I suggest doing is coming straight to survival in the very beginning, come up and get your in-round crafting. You can also increase the amount that you can of items that you can craft as well in the field, which is super useful. I also like getting carrying capacity over here as well. The maximum weight that you can carry is super important. Looter's luck is huge. This one has a chance to reveal, like when you identify the items that you're searching through, you have a chance to do 2 instead of 1. So it doubles the amount that you're there, and that chance goes up with every level on it. That being able to identify things, especially when you're doing, time restricted activities like the harvester, or you're inside a very contentious area, taking less time to identify the loot you're trying to find is really big. Next, look for the stamina reduction option. So moving around costs less stamina. You can make it where your crouching costs less stamina as well. You can make less noise when you're moving containers, and also the stamina there. Crawling faster is big, especially in those moments where you get downed right when the extraction elevator is up. Being able to move onto it quicker is quite nice. Calming stroll is massive too. It allows you to recover stamina as if you were standing still while still being able to walk around. And lastly, things like carry the momentum are super useful because it allows you to, it's mostly useful when you're clearing large areas of land. We have to, if you don't have an adrenaline shot available, you're trying to go from one POI to another. Things like this are useful because you can do a sprinting dodge roll and then not consume stamina for a short while. Again, takes the place of an adrenaline shot, but it does have a cooldown. There's other ways to make it so that when you do a combat slide, you recover stamina instead of draining it, which means you can extend the amount of time you can run across open fields. Those things actually pay off, especially in long engagements. Next is going to be around your wealth, I guess let's call it. The amount of resources you have stored up, the amount of items you have stored up. Right now in the server slam, no one cares. I've been selling things left and right, destroying things with reckless abandon because none of it matters. It's all going to be reset in a matter of hours now. So it's not really a huge deal. But once the game goes live, you're going to want to focus on building up the stored resources you have. And luckily, once the game is live, we'll be able to upgrade all of our workshops and Scrappy to the maximum level, which gives us a lot more options for crafting. One misnomer that we have right now is that a lot of the crafting materials that are green quality and blue quality are pretty much useless because we can't upgrade our workbenches in the server slam. So what we want to do once the game is live is start building up all of those, getting lots of the base level building materials so you can make items. You want to get a lot of arc materials so you can make and repair shields, which will take lots of durability damage. And as you go through, you want to build it up. So the question is, how do you improve the wealth of your storage? And I can't stress this enough. You have to really lean on this the most. It is going to be around free loadouts. I think that the best thing you can do for your character, for your progression on launch day or launch weekend, or even the first week of launch, is to pretty much just do exclusively free loadout runs. If you don't know what free loadout is, it basically is an option for you. So like when you're on the queue up screen, you can come up here, instead of going to custom loadout, you can go to free loadout. This will give you a basic augment, a random primary weapon with a little bit of ammo and some random consumables. Sometimes you get something nice, sometimes you just get a couple bandages, but you don't risk anything when you go into the run because it was given to you for free. The downside that comes with is it doesn't have a safety pocket, so you can't guarantee extract with anything unless you actually get out. But what's awesome about the free loadout is, one, it allows you to go in and get materials, but even better than that is the system is designed for you to run a free loadout when you have nothing, extract with the free loadout, and then convert your free loadout into something better. So if you go into the trader area and go to Lance in the clinic, you'll notice that there are upgraded augments, upgraded backpacks, 3 different kinds here of the green quality. However, what does it take to buy these? It's not a coin cost. It's not asking for your firstborn. It's asking for a free loadout augment. So what you do is you start a free loadout run, extract with the free loadout, take that free augment, and then sell it to Lance and convert it into one of these 3 basic types. I usually recommend running the combat or the tactical, just because the looting doesn't have the option for the shield upgrade. Like you can't do the medium shields with the looting unless you're just looting there, but you can grab whatever one you like, and that allows you to have a safety pocket, a better backpack, more storage, just better capacity in general, and all you have to do is extract the free loadout and convert it at Mr. Lance here. So step 1, what I would do, like on the moment the game goes live and I have my account ready to go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do free loadouts, and I'm going to go in and I'm just going to loot 1 or 2 POIs, 1 or 2 buildings, get as much crafting base level materials as I can, immediately extract, and just do that a bunch of times until you have crafting materials for, basic shield, repairs, crafting ammunition, crafting consumables, healing items, things like that. And once you have a good store of those, then it's time to move into the second tier. And that is going to want to be what I'm going to call like probe and or cache runs. This is basically, you're not looking for materials here, right? You've got enough of the basic wires and plastic parts and chemicals and oil and whatever. Like you've got the crafting materials. Now what you're going to need is some of the ARC materials, like actual field crafted, like second tier materials, or ARC materials, which allow you to make shields, shield recovery items, mechanical items, that sort of thing. So on screen, you see that little like drone coming down from the sky. I'm going to pause it so you can see it. These are basically supply drops. So there are 2 different kinds of probes that you will find out in the wilderness. They never land in the middle of a POI. At least I've never seen them land in the middle of like a complex or something like that. They will always either be already on the ground and beeping, or they will land on the ground as you get near them. So probes are going to be the first thing. Basically, once you have basic materials, you're going to start running probes and caches, because that gives you a very easy route for getting gear. And again, you're still running the free loadout. So for the probes that land, they will be very loud. They'll announce themselves, and they'll like SpaceX Falcon launch straight down and be landed straight up. They'll be making this like War of the Worlds alien robot technology grumble beeping as you get closer. And again, probes are a great source of ARC materials, things that you would normally get from living ARCs that are marching around, things that you need for shields and batteries and repairs and things like that, come to these probes. And basically, once I'm done with like the first loot level, when I'm doing probe or cache runs specifically, it's all I do. I land, I ignore the POIs, I never go to the main cities, I just go to the outskirts in the wilderness, look for probes, look for raider caches, loot those, and then escape. And just so you're aware, let's do a quick little sound test so you know what you're listening for when we're talking about probes. The next opportunistic vulture strat you're going to use, aside from probes, is you're looking for raider caches. Unlike the beepy grumble robot language that you hear from the probes, the caches just beep. It's almost like a Geiger counter or like an egg timer on your oven. It's just clicking and beeping. Like it's more of a click. It's like mechanical than it is like digital. You will find these out in the area, and they are an excellent source of loot. So all the ARC materials you get from probes that can either be sold directly for coin or can be used for crafting and making more shields, which you will always need more of. These raider caches usually have a good selection of ammunition, consumables, weapons, and armors, like just gear. And a lot of them sometimes can come with like green, blue, sometimes purple gear comes out of them. So again, when you're just running through the wilderness, you find raider caches, you find probes. Once you're full on inventory, just exfil, get out of there immediately, run it back with a free augment, and just do it again. And again, just for a sound check, I'm going to play the sound that the raider caches make. It's that clicking sound that you want to pay attention to. It is directional and has like, actual like in-game space direction. So if you look around your left, right, your spatial recognition will recognize where it's clicking from. The last thing for building up your account wealth is going to be paying attention to the rotational items in the shop. They're items that you can buy infinitely if you desperately need to. Generally, you don't need to if you're doing runs properly and getting the materials and extracting often, but if you're not extracting very much, you probably don't have the coin anyways. But there are some items that are quantity limited, and a lot of these can be super valuable. So things like picking up a medium shield when you don't have anything on your character at all is super useful. You can also get like deployables and consumables. Barricades are super useful. Snap blasts are really useful. Smoke grenades are one of the most useful things you can get. Like one smoke grenade can go from you dying in a run to you extracting, just because the smoke is so useful in distracting the arc robots, distracting other players, covering your retreat in a combat, or just covering the exfil location, the elevator, with smoke so you can get out of the run. And of course, you can always find the Raider hatch keys. You can put this in a safety pocket. What a lot of people do is they'll go to like their like loadout, get a safety pocket, put the Raider hatch key in the safety pocket so they don't lose it. And then if you get in a situation where you feel like you can't actually extract, go find the hatch, dip out, take everything with you. The next tip is around managing your inventory and understanding why certain things exist the way that they are. I'm not going to go into specifics here because it's possible that they change the value of the items, the price of the items, what they salvage into for launch. So we're going to be just broadly speaking on this in general. But I see a lot of people that fill up their stash with junk. Like there's a lot of things that I normally wouldn't hold on to, but it's a good demonstration for like what's going on here. The first thing to note about that a lot of people don't even take advantage of in general is that there's a bulk option. I've seen people literally go through their inventory one item at a time and sell or recycle, or salvage whatever. However, on PC at least, you see this multi-select button down at the bottom. If someone plays on console, let me know what that keybind is down in the comments. But you can actually hold that and oh my god. Whoa, technology and future. So now you can just hold and multi-select all of these, and then you can sell them all at once or recycle them all at once, right? So now all of a sudden this junk that I was holding on to, I get a whole bunch of coin from this. I can use this to buy hatch keys, access keys, shields, medium shields, repair items, or even just buy an anvil that I can use for a couple runs just to get myself out in that setup. So don't sleep on this. I see people literally just one by one. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. The next thing that I know is going to take some time for a lot of people, and it definitely will for me in case they change things for the launch of the game, is understanding the value of items, right? So when you right click and you see a sell value, understanding what things are worth is super important. You also have, I've already sold all these, but there's a category which is just junk. It has a diamond icon on it. There are some things like the rubber ducky or like the painting or various valuable items that their only purpose is to be sold for coin. That coin allows you to buy things from all the traders, which is super useful. But there's other things that are just like crafting materials too. Like if we sort by like value here, you can see the showstoppers are worth a good amount here, right? So you could do that there. You can sell weapons, you can sell materials. That gives you a good sense of the value of the items. And the next thing to know about is the tiers of salvaging, right? So you'll notice here that I have 3 full stacks of plastic parts. This gets very unruly, right? If everything in the game was just crafted items or their materials, it would get very boring to look at your inventory. So what they have is a salvaging tier system, which sounds confusing at first because people get random, like, what do I do with a speaker or a laptop? Why am I getting these random items that don't seem to do anything? And essentially, you can think of it as like a monetary coinage system, whatever your local currency is, right? You have coins of low value, medium value, high value, right? There are things that will scrap down into smaller pieces when you salvage them, right? So you might have like a blue version that scraps down into a green version that scraps down into a plastic part. And so by having those higher tier versions, right, like the green one might be 4 plastic parts worth and the blue one might be 8 plastic parts worth. And so if you have a stack of the blue ones, it's like 8 stacks of the plastic parts, which helps you consolidate your inventory. And if you are on a strap for cash, you can just sell them to get the value back from them as well. So kind of learn the value of items so you know what to extract with if you're looking for coin, and then learn which items salvage into other items as you play so you can help manage your inventory and your stash so you're not running out of space constantly. And the last tip for inventory is just to take very smart use of your safe pocket. Generally what I like to do is I put blueprints or key items in the safe pocket, especially like it just gives you a peace of mind, right? So like in this case, like maybe I want to go to Buried City and I want to bring a key, but I don't want to worry about losing something that might be kind of a pain in the butt to get again later. And so you toss in the safe pocket. And that way, if you end up dying for whatever reason, you keep your key item. We already talked about earlier where where you can just go to the trader and you can pick up one of those like hatch keys and just have it in your safe pocket. So just in case, you can use the hatch if you want, but if you die, you don't lose the hatch key, right? So those key items are perfect for safe pocket. They're also great if you find blueprints, like if you get the Jupiter blueprint by doing the harvester, that sort of thing. Toss it in the safe pocket, make sure it's there, and just make good use of them as well. The next tip is to pay attention to seasonals. This doesn't really make that much sense right now if you've only played the server Slam, but when the game is live and we have a bunch of maps and these seasonal rotational affixes on the locations, they become super important because it tells you what you can take advantage of when you're in the match. So there's tons of these. I'm not going to go through all of them. There's a couple that you really want to pay attention to, but you'll see them on the map in game. So right before you queue in your map selection, you actually see a whole like magnetic storms, harvests where there's extra seeds or extra moss or extra little like mushrooms and things you can get. You can also find night raids, which make all of the robots stronger, or more robots, more loot, things like that. But you also get secondary notifications when you go into a match. So I've had this pause on the screen. I just started this run right here, but look at the top middle, like that upper third of the screen. You see how the screen there? See how it says harvester? Sometimes this is what like raiders caches or whatever. There's special like seasonal effects on the map that have a time limited duration where you'll find extra raider caches or more probes, or there will be a harvester event going on. Pay attention to these because you can actually get a large amount of loot or rare items, especially in the case of the harvester event, where you can actually get things while it's going on. So not only when you're selecting a map, pay attention to what's going on, but also once you jump in, actually listen to the cues you get from the communicator back in Speranza, as well as the notification you get on screen, because it can tell you what's available for just that run. Next, I want to talk about consumables. This is something that I don't see enough players taking advantage of, but they're insanely, insanely strong. There are a lot of utilitarian aspects: smoke grenades, barricades, the barricade kits, door lockers, show stoppers, stuns, lure grenades, tons of things that make your whole life easier and also have incredible effects that can change the landscape of an entire battle if you're paying attention. So I'm not going to go through all the consumables because, again, some of them might change, but let's talk just through some of the most important ones that can really make a splash in how strong you are in the game and how well you actually perform and eventually extract. The first one is going to be door blockers. These sound very simple, but they're incredibly useful, especially if you're in situations where like you're up against someone or you feel like you're about to get third-partied or you're in a group. These just allow you to put a breach requirement on any door inside of a facility. So what you can do is actually put that on the door and lock the door from being opened, which essentially eliminates one of your fronts. Like, it means you don't have to worry about enemies coming from behind you without making a bunch of noise by breaching, or you don't have to worry about people wrapping around and attacking you from one direction. It allows you to control your point of engagement by blocking those doors, which is huge. Also, don't sleep on the noise makers or the trigger proximity mines as well, especially when you're trying to do fights against some of the end game like opportunities, like the arc robots that have a lot of HP, the sentries, the bastions, if you want to fight rocketeers, things like that. When you're farming the end game arc robots, you really are worried about people coming up behind you or sneaking up on you. So by having the noise makers, the trigger proximity mines and things like that, again, it allows you to control space, especially if there's not any doors for you to be able to block. You can create that bubble. So like in this clip, I was fighting a bastion, but someone snuck up on me, but I had a noisemaker. So I'm here picking on the poor squirming bastion while he's on the ground crying, and then the noisemaker goes off, so I can immediately turn around and come right forward, find the guy, take him out, take his loot, and go back to the bastion, right? So those utility items like those can make a big difference. The smoke grenade is possibly one of the most widely versatile and powerful items in the game as well. You can cover yourself in smoke if you want to run away. You can cover the elevator in smoke if you want to extract. You can put the smoke down and make it so it's harder for the arc robots to find you. You can misdirect by throwing smoke in a different direction and then sneaking around the other way. The smoke is massive, and you should pretty much always have smokes on you if you have a loadout that you're bringing value with, right? It's not a free loadout, but I think you should always bring at least 1 or 2 smokes with you every run, because it can be the difference of escaping versus not. I've even had times where like I literally just threw 2 smokes inside of the elevator, and it's so hard to see in there that literally you could have 2 or 3 people inside the elevator that can't see each other, and you all extract together without even realizing. There is a bug right now in the server Slam, you see it right here, where like on some angles the smoke gets messed up. Hopefully that gets sorted in the live version. Once it does, we should have a lot more opportunities with that bug gone, because the vision will just be so obscured. There's also a wide range of grenades that can be useful. The heavy grenades are really good against arc, especially like things like Bastion, things like that, or leapers that you want to destroy quickly. quickly, but you can also use the sticky grenades, the showstoppers, the stun grenades, all to be able to create space or cause people to move from cover. Basic FPS techniques, but something that should be utilized. You can also hold on to a bunch of grenades at once and then use those. The last one I'll mention, just because it's getting long, is the lure grenade. It's actually probably one of the most underutilized items in the entire game, which is the lure grenade. You throw it and it's going to aggro all arcs there. Now, you have to be careful. Watch this clip here. There's a leaper nearby, there's a drone nearby, and there's actually a rocketeer on the other side of the building as well. And I really don't want to grab their ire, but notice that when I throw the grenade here, the drone picks up on it and turns on me instead of the grenade. Sometimes, depending on where you're standing and where you are, you have to be careful on the initial throw of the lure grenade, but you can actually cause the arc robots not only to move away from you, but also towards other players or groups as well. If you know there's a group camping out in an area, or you're actually out in the wilderness and you're about to get into a firefight, you could throw the lure grenade onto the enemy players and then attack them, because when the arc robots are on them, or you could just use it to go escape if you wanted to, the lure is huge because the arc robots are so menacing in the game. Next, I want to just give a brief note on stealth. If you are, and I think just the way that Arc Raiders is set up, it seems to be attracting a lot of players that haven't really spent time playing extraction games. What I want to just emphasize for those people specifically is that a lot of extraction games are about pacing, preparedness, and being in the right place at the right time. So when you're running around, you're playing this like it's a battle royale, because oftentimes, because of the way the gameplay is set up, it can feel like a battle royale without being forced into a location because of things like concentric rings or fog or whatever. But a lot of times there will be people that are incredibly patient, well prepared, and treat this like a life or death apocalyptic situation where they will bait you into situations. They'll leave corpses on the ground and wait for you to loot them and then shoot you. They'll wait for you to go to the elevator and shoot you. Like, I think there needs to be a lot of understanding on how powerful stealth is, and if you move silently enough, especially with the right talents, you can be almost silent, like to the point where if you don't know what to listen for, you won't actually hear them coming. So there's a lot of things around being able to crouch your way through things, save stamina for when you're moving between open areas. I see people like sprinting through buildings to loot, and then when they exit the building, they're out of stamina, and then they literally walk through an open courtyard without sprinting. So just think about how you're going to use sound to your advantage. Be aware that especially as you move higher and higher with better and better gear, on the night raids especially, when people are bringing a lot of gear, pay attention to how much sound you're making, take time to move around properly, and also just listen for cues from other players, from breaches, and things like that, and then incorporate that into your gameplay. This isn't a run and gun like Call of Duty or Battlefield. You actually have to think about the risks you're running, as well as how much noise you're making, and what risks those come with. The last thing I'll leave you with is that once you actually have a good amount of gear, I don't in this clip, but I just did the footage just so we can talk about it. I didn't really focus on getting good gear in the server slam, but once you're live, you'll want to be able to use it. I mean, I had an Osprey that I was able to pick up, and we just decided to go fight some bots. I think that one of the best things you can do once you actually have good gear, a lot of consumables, a lot of loot, a lot of resources, is start hunting the larger arc robots, because they do actually have a good amount of drops. Now, there's going to be some of them that are like the Bastions have two different variants, the drone dropship, like battleship Bastion that has the drones that come out, or the Bastion with the minigun, or even like leapers and things like that. You want to kind of take these down the best you can. Again, using large grenades, the shot grenades like showstoppers and things like that to keep them in place. You can even showstopper the little surveyor bots that roll around, shock them, and then destroy them completely before they run away, grab the loot out of them. It gives you a really big opportunity for dealing damage to the targets, taking them out, and then scrapping them for really good loot as well. And one of the biggest opportunities for this is going to be getting past the Queen for the Harvester encounter and looting the Harvester. So let's talk about this. Spoiler warning for people that want to discover the Harvester themselves and figure out what to do about it, but we're going to talk through the Queen encounter, the Harvester encounter, and then what loot you can get from it that could be super useful. So I'm going to give you a brief, like high-level overview of the Harvester encounter and the Queen, because just in case things change, I don't want to be spreading misinformation in case they already changed it once from like Tech Test 1, like the Harvester was a little bit different than it is now, and it's possible that when they launch from the server slam, it'll be changed again. So I'm just going to give you like philosophical of what you're looking for. When you get Harvester encounters, it'll spawn on the map. You'll get a notification in your ear saying, hey, there's a Queen and a Harvester location nearby. Head to where it is, and you'll see this kind of like tubular, like X joint, or yeah, like cross joint in the middle of an open area with a giant Queen defending it. The Queen is killable, but I want to emphasize, it takes a lot to kill the queen. Like, I've seen it done a few times, but it does require hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of rounds. The queen is incredibly tanky and is meant to be a forcing function around the harvester itself. Oftentimes when you go to the harvester too, you can see there's a rocketeer here, there's a bunch of drones, sometimes leapers show up, so like it's covered in arc robots. You kind of have to go in with a good loadout. I mean, it is possible to solo. I've done the harvester as well with a free loadout, so you don't feel like you have to like avoid it entirely, but it is an opportunity for you to get some really good gear. My biggest recommendation for the harvester is to not aggro the queen at all. The reason for this is the queen doesn't really ever de-aggro in my experience. Once you're inside the harvester, the queen's not going to bug you too much, though she does have an attack that allows her to like electrocute the entirety of the harvester, but your life just gets way easier if you never aggro the queen. Usually, just like most arc robots, is more of a directional thing where she's pointing in direction, so creep up on her, sneak around her, get inside, try to avoid her at all costs, and don't aggro her because she's a big pain in the butt, and she will move around the different entrances as well to try and get at you or call other things in to be annoying if she has your aggro. And like I mentioned, she can also cause the inside to be electrocuted. So right here, someone aggroed the queen inside, and I was just getting footage and watching. So she's beaming the inside, and she can actually cause the entire inside to be electrocuted, which isn't a huge deal if you take your shield off, but it is kind of annoying. So again, don't aggro her if you can avoid it. So what do you do once you're inside the harvester? Here's the high level breakdown in case they change individual aspects. It has 4 doors in all the directions, and you have to breach them to open them, which will draw attention to you from players and from arc robots. Once inside, there is this center area. Pay attention to the color of it. If it's a blue light, it means that the next time it pulses, it's going to be electrocution. If it's a yellow light, it means it's about to flood the area with fire, usually when it launches off a rocket. You will get a sound notification that sounds like this when it's about to flood the area with fire. When it floods with fire, immediately get out. All you have to do is step just outside the door. The damage doesn't exceed outside the door, at least in the latest version. So you just have to get outside the door, wait for the fire to clear, come back inside, and you're good to go. You can actually sit just like right outside the door, as you can see when the fire is flooding. You don't have to worry about it too much. As long as you're outside, you should be fine, and it helps you not to aggro the queen as well while you're trying to get in. So what do you do once you're inside? There are a bunch of storage compartments on the bottom and on the top. You can go to the bottom, go to the top, open them all up. They do have blueprints, tons of loot, but the big creme de la creme for the harvester is getting 3 of these tubes, which just spawn inside of different things. Once they spawn, just grab them, take them to the center console and put them inside, and once you put in 3 of them, the final cache will open up. So that's your goal. A big tip right here, you can see that when the electrocution was about to come out, I quickly took my shield off. Never have your shield on you when it's about to electrocute because it just destroys the charge on your shield. So just make sure you take your shield off when there's electrocution going on. You can put it back on, and that saves you the durability and saves you from losing the charge there. So you don't really want to have it on you when that's happening. The tubes that you need just pop out of random breaches. So you're just going to go around and find all the little breaches and then open them all up until tubes. So you can see there's 2 on screen right now. 1 popped over here, 1 popped over there. Go breach a bunch of stuff until those tubes pop out. When you have 3 of them, fill them in the center console to get the final little bit, that last cache that's in there. Now, once you trigger the last tube, there's going to be these little yellow nodules that pop out of the walls all over. So if I just kind of on this pause screen here, there's going to be some on these like little, you see these little like gray squares, little yellow nodules will pop out on the bottom, up on top, all over the room. To get the final cache, once you put the tubes in, just pop all those little yellow things, break them. You can melee them or shoot them if you want to. Either way works fine. Melee is a little bit less destructive on ammo and making noise, but you get them all done, you get the final cache there, and that's what you're looking for. So you wait for the yellow light to show up. If there's fire sound, kind of tell you that fire's coming, step outside, breach, get back in. It's perfectly soloable. It just takes longer than if you were in a group. Get the final cache. You'll find blueprints for like snipers, legendary weapons, really good gear, tons of resources, arc items. It's probably one of the most like voluminous and valuable areas of looting in the game, but it comes with great risk. You also have to worry about being third-partied as well, and obviously with groups and stuff, you can make sure that you're covered with someone watching the door, but I do a lot of these solo. I've done them a couple times solo, and again, you just have to pay real close attention. You have to worry about people showing up, attacking you at the wrong time, or doing damage there, so that's kind of just a big part of the encounter, but you can get some really cool stuff from it. And that's what I got, tips and tricks for for Arc Raiders, it's just going to be a good time launching. Hopefully you've enjoyed the server slam ending tonight and are super excited for the launch. If there's interest, drop that down in the comments down below for me to continue covering more tips and stuff and like updated once the game goes live and just see what they ended up changing for the game and what game they're trying to make once they got all the feedback for the server slam and beyond. And of course, if you have your own tips, toss those in the comments down below. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.